The cantina on Nexus Station fell silent when Vexter walked through the door. Every alien in the room turned to look at him, then quickly looked away. The massive Calthrine stood 12 feet tall, his black scales gleaming under the dim lights. 4 powerful arms moved with deadly grace as he made his way to the bar. The bartender, nervous blue-skinned Voltarian, dropped the glass he was cleaning, shattered on the floor, but nobody moved to clean it up. Everyone knew who Vexter was. He was death-walking on 2 legs. "Drink, Vexter," said in his deep voice. The bartender's hands shook as he poured a glass of Calthrian firewine. The red liquid glowed like blood in the dim light. Vexter had been hunting for 300 years. In all that time, he had never failed to kill his target. Not once. The Crimson Syndicate paid him more credits than most planets made in a year. He was worth every credit. His cum device buzzed. A new message from his handler, Mordock. Vexter opened it with one of his 4 hands while drinking with another. The message was short but important. New contract. Highest bounty ever posted. 50 million credits. Target, human male, Kim Dae-ho. Location, mining station Omega 7. Complete within 1 solar cycle. F. Gester's yellow eyes glowed brighter. 50 million credits. Had never seen a bounty that high. What could one human have done to be worth so much money? He opened the target file. The image showed a small human male with kind eyes and work clothes. Kim Dae-ho looked nothing like a dangerous criminal. He was short, maybe 6 feet tall. His hands looked soft, like someone who worked with tools instead of weapons. He had black hair and wore glasses that looked old and scratched, the file said. Kim Dae-ho was from Earth. Vexter remembered hearing about Earth. The Zephyrian Empire had destroyed it 2 years ago with orbital bombs. Most humans were dead now. Only a few thousand had escaped to other worlds. According to the file, Kim Dae-ho was a terrorist. He had been attacking Zephyrian supply ships and causing trouble across 3 star systems. The Galactic Council wanted him dead. They called him extremely dangerous and a threat to galactic peace. Vexter almost laughed. This small human was supposed to be extremely dangerous. He had killed Zephyrian generals who were twice Kim Dae-ho's size. He had hunted down war criminals who had armies protecting them. How hard could it be to kill one human? The cantina was still quiet. Other aliens watched Vexter from the corners of their eyes. They knew he was reading a death warrant. Someone, somewhere, would be dead very soon. Vexter finished his drink and stood up. His massive frame cast a shadow over half the cantina. The bartender quickly looked away when their eyes met. "Keep my tab open," Vexter said. "I will be back." Tomorrow, he walked out of the cantina, his heavy footsteps echoing in the corridor. Other beings pressed themselves against the walls to get out of his way. Space station security guards nodded respectfully as he passed. Even they were afraid of him. Vexter made his way to the docking bay, where his ship waited. The Crimson Fang was built for hunting. It had the best sensors in the galaxy, weapons that could destroy a small moon, and engines that could outrun any ship ever built. The ship was black like his scales, almost invisible against the darkness of space. He climbed into the pilot's seat and started the engines. The ship hummed to life around him. Vexter loved this moment. The hunt was beginning as he flew toward the jump gate. Vexter thought about his target. Kim Dae-ho had been seen at mining station Omega 7 3 days ago. The station was on the edge of Zephyrian space, a rough place where criminals and refugees went to hide. It would be the perfect place for a terrorist to plan his next attack. But something bothered Vexter. Why was the bounty so high? He had killed alien warlords for less money. He had hunted down pirates who had destroyed entire fleets. Made one human worth 50 million credits? He pulled up more information about Kim Dae-ho. The human had been an engineer on Earth before the planet was destroyed. He had worked on defense systems, designing shields and weapons to protect his homeworld. After Earth fell, he had disappeared for 6 months. When he showed up again, he was attacking Zephyrian ships. The attacks were clever, Vexter had to admit. Kim Dae-ho never fought the ships directly. Instead, he would damage their engines or life support systems, forcing them to land on nearby planets. Then he would steal their cargo and disappear before help could arrive. In the past year, Kim Dae-ho had hit 17 different ships. He had stolen medical supplies, food, and weapons. But here was the strange part. He never kept anything for himself. Intelligence reports said he gave everything to refugee camps and resistance groups. Vexthor device buzzed again. Another message from Mordok. Complete this contract quickly. The client is very interested in fast results. Do not ask questions. Kill the target and return immediately. That was odd. Mordok never told him to avoid asking questions. The Crimson Syndicate always wanted their hunters to gather information about their targets. It helped them understand why someone wanted the target dead. Vexthor put the thought aside. He was being paid to kill, not to think. After 300 years, he had learned not to care about the reasons. Credits were credits, and 50 million was more than he had ever been offered. The jump gate opened in front of him, a swirling blue portal that would take him across the galaxy in seconds. Vexthor flew through it, and space twisted around his ship. When the light faded, he was in the Omega system. Mining Station Omega-7 hung in space like a metal spider. Ships came and went constantly, bringing raw materials from the asteroid belt. It was a busy place, full of miners, traders, people who did not want to be found. Perfect hunting ground, Vexthor smiled, showing his sharp teeth. Kim Dae-ho was somewhere on that station. The human probably thought he was safe, hidden among all the other refugees and criminals. He had no idea that the galaxy's greatest hunter was coming for him. The Crimson Fang moved silently through space, toward the docking bay. In a few hours, Kim Dae-ho would be dead, and Vexthor would be 50 million credits richer. It would be the easiest hunt of his long career, or so he thought. Vexthor moved through the dark tunnels under Mining Station Omega-7 like a shadow. His enhanced senses could smell fear, hear heartbeats, and see in complete darkness. After 2 hours of hunting, he had found his target's trail. The human had been clever. Kim Dae-ho had used the maintenance tunnels to move around the station without being seen. He had avoided the main corridors where security cameras watched everything, but he could not hide from a Calthrian hunter. Vexthor's 4 arms moved silently as he climbed through a narrow passage. His black scales made no sound against the metal walls. 3 centuries of hunting had taught him to be quieter than death itself. He stopped at a junction where 3 tunnels met. His nose twitched as he breathed in deeply. The human's scent was stronger here. Fresh. Kim Dae-ho had passed this way less than an hour ago. The sound of metal hitting metal came from the tunnel to his right. Vexthor smiled, showing his sharp teeth. His prey was close now. Very close. He moved down the tunnel, his massive frame barely fitting through the space. The sounds grew louder. Someone was working with tools, fixing something in the stations. Machinery. Vexthor reached the end of the tunnel and looked into a large maintenance room. Banks of computers lined the walls, their screens glowing blue and green. Pipes and cables ran across the ceiling like metal veins. And there, sitting at a workbench with his back turned, was Kim Dae-ho. The human was smaller than Vexthor had expected. His shoulders were narrow, his arms thin. He wore dirty work clothes and old boots. His black hair was messy, and his glasses sat crooked on his nose. He looked like any other station worker, not a dangerous terrorist. Kim Dae-ho was working on some kind of electronic device. His hands moved quickly and carefully, connecting wires and adjusting circuits. He seemed completely focused on his work, unaware that death was standing behind him. Vexthor drew his plasma blade. The weapon hummed to life, casting a red glow. Across the room, human shoulders tensed. But he did not turn around. "You can come out now, Kim," Dae-ho said quietly. "I know you're there." Vexthor stepped into the room, his footsteps heavy on the metal floor. Kim Dae-ho set down his tools and slowly turned around. When he saw the massive Calthrian, his eyes widened slightly, but he did not look afraid. "You're Vexthor," Kim Dae-ho said. It was not a question. "I've heard stories about you. They say you're the best hunter in the galaxy." "They are correct," Vexthor replied. His deep voice echoed in the small room. You are Kim Dae-ho. I am here to kill you. The human nodded slowly. I figured someone would come eventually. Vidalstetta. Million credits is a lot of money. Vexther's yellow eyes narrowed. You know about the bounty? I know about many things, Kim Dae-ho said. He reached into his pocket, moving slowly so the hunter would not think he was going for a weapon. He pulled out a small device and placed it on the workbench. Would you like to see something interesting? Before you kill me? The device projected a hologram into the air between them. It showed a beautiful blue and green planet covered with white clouds. Cities sparkled like jewels on the surface. Ships moved through space around the planet like tiny silver fish. That was Earth, Kim Dae-ho said softly. My home. Had seen many planets in his 300 years of hunting. Earth looked peaceful, like a place where people could live happy lives, not like the dead rock it was now. It was beautiful, Kim Dae-ho continued. I had a daughter there. Her name was Park So-young. She was 8 years old when the Zephyrians came. The hologram changed, showing the same planet under attack. Massive ships hung in space above the world, firing down at the surface. Explosions bloomed like deadly flowers across the continents. The blue oceans turned black with smoke and ash. The bombardment lasted for 6 hours, Kim Dae-ho said. His voice was steady, but Vexther could smell the pain coming from him. 6 hours to destroy a world that had taken billions of years to grow. Vexther watched the hologram with interest. He had never seen a planet die before. It was strangely beautiful in its own way, like watching a star collapse. So-young was at school when it started, Kim Dae-ho continued. I was at work, testing new shield generators. Tried to reach her, but the communications were down. I tried to get to her school, but the roads were blocked by debris from the sky. The hologram showed the final moments of Earth's destruction. The planet's surface was covered in fire and smoke. Nothing could survive down there. I found her body. 3 days later, Kim Dae-ho said. She was still holding her school bag. She had been running toward home when the ceiling fell on her. Vexther had heard many death stories in his long career. Most of them did not affect him. Death was natural, as normal as breathing. But something about the way Kim Dae-ho told his story made the hunter feel strange. I managed to get off Earth before the planet completely died, Kim Dae-ho said. I was one of the lucky ones. Most people never made it to the escape ships. The hologram disappeared, leaving the room in the blue glow of the computer screens. Kim Dae-ho sat down on a metal crate and looked up at Vexther. The hunter had expected to see hate in the human's eyes, or fear, or anger. Instead, he saw something else, something that made him uncomfortable. Why are you telling me this? Vexther asked. Because I want you to understand, Kim Dae-ho said. I want you to know why I do what I do. I want you to know what's coming. Next? What is coming next? Kim Dae-ho stood up and walked to one of the computers. He typed quickly, and new images appeared on the screen. Star maps, ship movements, invasion plans. The Zephyrians are not done, Kim Dae-ho said. Earth was just the beginning. They're planning to destroy 16 more worlds in the next 2 years. Worlds with billions of people on them. Vexther looked at the star maps. Many of the targeted worlds were familiar to him. He had hunted on some of them. Good hunting grounds with interesting prey. One of those worlds is Kalthra, Kim Dae-ho said quietly. Vexther's 4 hands clenched into fists. Kalthra was his home world. The place where he had been born and trained to hunt. The sacred world of his people. You lie, Vexther growled. I wish I was lying, Kim Dae-ho said. Pulled up another screen showing detailed invasion plans. The attack on Kalthra is scheduled to begin in 6 months. The Zephyrians have already sent scout ships to map your cities. The hunter stared at the screen. The invasion plans looked real. Too real. They showed exactly how the Zephyrians would position their ships where they would strike first. How long the bombardment would last. How did you get this information? Vexther demanded. I used to design defense systems, Kim Dae-ho said. I know how to read attack patterns. I know how to break into military computers. I know how to recognize the signs of genocide. Kim Dae-ho turned away from the computer and looked directly at Vexther. The human's eyes were calm but determined. I've been tracking the Zephyrians for 2 years, he said. Stealing their supplies, disrupting their plans, trying to warn people about what's coming. But no one listens to a human refugee. No one cares about the word of a man whose world is already dead. Vexter felt something he had never experienced before: confusion. For 300 years, his life had been simple: find target, kill target, collect payment. But now, standing in this small room with this strange human, nothing seemed simple anymore. "The Galactic Council knows about the invasion plans," Kim Dae-ho said. "They've been paid to keep quiet. It's why there's a bounty on my head? Not because I'm a terrorist, but because I'm trying to save lives." The hunter's mind raced. Could this be true? Had he been hunting the wrong target all along? "Prove it," Vexter said. Kim Dae-ho walked to the far wall of the maintenance room. He pressed his hand against what looked like a normal metal panel. The panel beeped softly and slid open, revealing a hidden compartment behind it. "I've been building this for 2 years," Kim Dae-ho said as he pulled out a large data storage device. "Every piece of information I could steal, hack, or buy. Every secret the Zephyrians thought they had hidden." Vexter watched carefully as the human connected the device to the main computer. The hunter's plasma blade was still active, casting red light across the room. Could kill Kim Dae-ho in half a second if this was some kind of trick. The computer screen filled with files, thousands of them. Military reports, invasion plans, communication logs, supply lists, all marked with Zephyrian symbols. "Start with this one," Kim Dae-ho said, opening a file labeled Operation Silent Death, Phase 7. The screen showed a detailed map of the Kalthra system. Red arrows pointed at the planet from all directions. Numbers showed how many ships would attack, where they would position themselves, and how long the bombardment would last. Vexter's yellow eyes glowed brighter as he read. The plan was thorough and brutal. The Zephyrians would use 60 heavy cruisers to destroy all major cities on Kalthra. They would target the hunting grounds where young Kalthrians learned to track and kill. It would destroy the sacred temples, where his people honored their ancestors. 47 billion Kalthrians, Kim Dae-ho read from the file. Estimated elimination time, 14 hours. The hunter's forehands trembled with rage. 14 hours to kill his entire species. Zephyrians planned to erase the Kalthrians from the galaxy like they had never existed. "Keep reading," Kim Dae-ho said quietly. Vexter scrolled through more files. The invasion of Kalthra was just one part of a much larger plan. The Zephyrians wanted to control the entire outer rim of the galaxy. They would destroy any species that might fight back and enslave the rest. "Here," Kim Dae-ho said, pointing to another file. "This is what made me start stealing their supplies." The file showed a list of worlds already destroyed. Earth was on the list, along with 15 other planets. Next to each world was a date and a number. The date of destruction and how many people had died. 23 billion people, Kim Dae-ho whispered. Gone, just like that, Vexter had. Killed many beings in his long career, but never entire worlds. The numbers were too large for his mind to understand. How could anyone destroy so many lives? "But this is the file that will interest you most," Kim Dae-ho said. He opened another document, this one marked Asset Management, Crimson Syndicate, X-3S. Eyes widened. The file contained detailed information about his own organization. Payment records, contract details, something that made his blood run cold. The Crimson Syndicate was working for the Zephyrians. "Your people have been paid to eliminate anyone who might warn others about the invasions," Kim Dae-ho explained. "Scientists who discovered the pattern. Military leaders who asked too many questions. Politicians who tried to organize defenses." Hunter scrolled through the list of targets, names he recognized, people he had killed over the past 2 years. All of them had been trying to warn the galaxy about the Zephyrian threat. "You've been cleaning up their mess," Kim Dae-ho said.
Making.
Sure, no one could stop them. Vexter felt sick. For 2 years, he had been helping the Zephyrians prepare for genocide. Every target he had eliminated had been trying to save lives, not take them. "Show me more," Vexter growled. Kim Dae-ho opened file after file, communication logs between Zephyrian commanders and Crimson Syndicate leaders, Payment records showing millions of credits transferred for cleanup operations. Even surveillance footage of Zephyrian scouts mapping the defenses of worlds that would soon be destroyed. This one will really anger you, Kim Dae-ho said, opening a video file. The screen showed a meeting between three beings. A Zephyrian general, a Crimson Syndicate boss, and someone Vexther recognized immediately. Mordok, his own handler. The Calthrian is asking questions about his targets, Mordok was saying in the video. He's becoming suspicious. Then eliminate him after he completes the current contract, the Zephyrian general replied. We can't have hunters who think too much. What about the bounty on the human?
50 million credits to make sure Kim Dae-ho dies quickly and quietly?
The human has too much information. If he talks to the right people, our entire operation could be exposed. Vexther watched his own death being planned. Mordok, who had been his handler for 50 years, was going to have him killed as soon. As he completed this mission, he never planned to let you live, Kim Dae-ho said. You know too much now. You've seen the pattern in your targets. The hunter's mind raced back over the past 2 years. He had been wondering why so many of his targets seemed like good people instead of criminals. Scientists, doctors, teachers, engineers, people who helped others instead of hurting them. I've been a fool, Vexther said, his deep voice filled with anger. No, Kim Dae-ho replied. You've been used. There's a difference. Kim Dae-ho closed the files and turned to face the massive Calthrian. I have something else to show you. Something that might give you hope. He opened a new folder labeled Resistance. Networks. Inside were communication logs, supply manifests, and tactical reports from dozens of different worlds. People are fighting back, Kim Dae-ho explained. Not just me. Resistance groups on 17 different worlds. They're small and scattered, but they're growing. The screen showed images of alien species working together. Humans, Voltarians, Nexians, and others. They were sharing information, coordinating attacks on Zephyrian supply lines, and helping refugees escape to safe worlds. The Zephyrians are strong, but they're not invincible, Kim Dae-ho said. They rely on surprise and overwhelming force. If we can warn people, if we can help them prepare, we can stop this. Vexther looked at the images of the resistance fighters. They were all small, weak species compared to the Zephyrians, but they were fighting anyway, risking their lives to save others. What do you want from me? Vexther asked. I want you to choose. Kim Dae-ho said, you can complete your contract and collect your 50 million credits, and Mordok will have. You killed, and the Zephyrians will destroy your homeworld in 6 months. The human paused, looking directly into Vexther's yellow eyes. Or you can help me stop them. Vexther's CUM device buzzed. A message from Mordok appeared on the screen. Status report. Has the target been eliminated? The hunter stared at the message for a long moment. His entire life had been built around following orders, completing contracts, and collecting payment. The Crimson Syndicate had given him purpose and meaning. For 3 centuries, but now he knew the truth. The Syndicate was working for genocidal monsters. His own people were going to die, and he had been helping to make it happen. I need proof, Vexther said finally, something I can verify independently. Kim Dae-ho smiled for the first time since the hunter had found him. I was hoping you'd say that. He pulled up another file, this one containing communication frequencies and security codes. These are live channels between Zephyrian command ships and their scout fleets. You can listen in on their communications right now. Vexther took the codes and entered them into his own CUM device. Static filled the air for a moment, then cleared into alien voices speaking in the Zephyrian military language. Scout Fleet 7 to command. Calthra, mapping complete. All major population centers have been identified. Defensive installations are minimal. Recommend proceeding with Phase 7 on schedule. Confirmed. Scout Fleet 7. Begin Phase 8 reconnaissance of the Voltarian system. Operation silent. Death continues as planned. Vexther turned off the CUM device. The voices had been real. The invasion of his homeworld was really going to happen. The Galactic Council knows about all of this? He asked. They've been paid to look the other way, Kim Dae-ho confirmed. The Zephyrians have promised them control of the inner systems. Once the outer rim is cleared, the first time in his life, Vexter felt truly lost. Everything he had believed in was a lie. The organization he had served was corrupt. The galaxy he had helped to police was about to be destroyed. "What happens if I help you?" he asked. "Then we have a chance," Kim Dae-ho said. "Small chance, but a real one. The Resistance needs someone with your skills and connections. Someone who knows how the Syndicate operates." Vexter looked at his plasma blade, still humming with deadly energy. He had used it to kill hundreds of beings over the centuries. Good beings, as it turned out. It's people who had been trying to save lives. "And if we fail, then at least we'll have tried," Kim Dae-ho replied. "At least we'll have fought for something worth fighting for." The Hunter's Come device buzzed again. Another message from Mordock. "Vexter, respond immediately. Confirm target elimination." Vexter stared at the message. His next words would change everything. There would be no going back to his old life. No more simple contracts and easy money. No more being the galaxy's most feared hunter. But there might be a chance to become something better, something worth being. He began to type his response. Vexter stared at his CUM device for a long time. His four hands trembled slightly as he thought about what to write. 300 years of training told him to type target, eliminate it, and collect his payment. But everything he had learned in the past hour told him something different. Kim Dae-ho waited patiently. He did not try to influence the hunter's decision. He simply sat on his metal crate and watched Vexter struggle with the biggest choice of his life. Finally, Vexter began to type, "Target secured. Extracting additional intelligence. Will report when complete." He sent the message and immediately turned off his CUM device. Mordock would not be happy with the delay, but it would buy them some time. "What now?" Vexter asked. "Now I show you something that will make you even angrier," Kim Dae-ho said. He pulled up another file on the computer. "This is a list of Crimson Syndicate hunters who asked too many questions." The screen showed names, photos, and death dates. Vexter recognized many of them. Fellow hunters who had been killed on missions over the past 2 years. The official reports had called them mission failures or target eliminations. They were all murdered by their own organization, Kim Dae-ho explained. "Just like Mordock is planning to do to you." Vexter's yellow eyes blazed with fury. These had been his hunting partners, his rivals, sometimes even his friends. The Syndicate had killed them all to keep their secrets safe. "Raximer was my teacher," Vexter said, pointing to one of the names. "He trained me when I was young." The report said he died fighting a target on Nexus Prime. "He was poisoned in his sleep," Kim Dae-ho said quietly. The target was already dead when Raximer arrived. It was a trap. The hunter's scales shifted. From black to deep red, a sign of extreme anger among his species. He had mourned Raximer as death for months. Now he learned it had been murder by his own people. "How do you know all this?" Vexter demanded. "Because I hacked their internal communications," Kim Dae-ho said. "I've been tracking Syndicate activities for 2 years, trying to understand how they fit into the Zephyrian plan." He opened another file showing message logs between Syndicate leaders. The messages were cold and businesslike, discussing the murder of hunters like they were talking about the weather. "Kill order confirmed for Vexter," read one message from Mordock. "Target will be eliminated after current contract completion. Make it look like mission failure." Vexter read his own death warrant with growing rage. He'd already decided to kill him. The decision had been made weeks ago, before he had even accepted the contract to kill Kim Dae-ho. "They're afraid of you," Kim Dae-ho said. "You're too good at what you do, too observant. They know you'll figure out the truth eventually." Hunter turned away from the computer and walked to the far side of the room. His massive frame filled the space, making the maintenance room feel even smaller. He needed to think clearly, but anger was clouding his mind. "All my life, I have been a killer," Vexter said slowly. "It is what I was born for, what I was trained for, what I am good at." "That doesn't mean it's what you have to be," Kim Dae-ho replied. Vexter laughed bitterly. "What else can I be? I'm 12 feet tall with 4 arms and teeth like knives. I am built for death." "So was I, in a way," Kim Dae-ho said. "I designed weapons systems for Earth's military. I created machines that could kill thousands of people. I was good at it too." The human stood up and walked over to stand near the hunter. Even though Vexter was twice his size, Kim Dae-ho showed no fear. But after Saul Young died, I realized something, Kim Dae-ho continued. The same skills that can destroy can also protect. The same mind that can plan attacks can plan defenses. The same hands that build weapons can build shields. Vexter looked down at his 4 hands. They were scarred from countless battles, stained with the blood of hundreds of victims. Could these hands really be used for something other than killing? You want me to betray everything I have ever known? Vexter said. I want you to save your people, Kim Dae-ho replied. I want you to choose who you want to be instead of letting others choose for you. The hunter's come device buzzed. He had turned it back on without thinking about it. Another message from Mordok appeared on the screen. Vexer, report status immediately. Client is becoming impatient. He could almost see Mordok sitting in his office, planning the hunter's death while pretending to be concerned about the mission. What would you have me do? Vexter asked. Help me contact the resistance groups, Kim Dae-ho said. Use your knowledge of syndicate operations to help them avoid the hunters. Share the intelligence we've gathered so they can warn other worlds. And then we try to stop the invasion of Kalthra. Vexter almost laughed. 2 people against the entire Zephyrian Empire. That is suicide. Maybe Kim Dae-ho admitted. But it's better than doing nothing. It's better than letting them win without a fight. The human walked back to the computer and pulled up the images of the resistance fighters again. Small groups of beings working together, sharing resources, protecting each other. Look at them, Kim Dae-ho said. They're not soldiers or hunters or warriors. They're teachers and doctors and engineers. People like me. But they're fighting anyway because they know it's right. Vexter studied the images. The resistance fighters looked so weak compared to the enemies they faced. But there was something in their faces that reminded him of Kim Dae-ho, a determination. That could not be broken. If I help you, I can never go back, Vexter said. The syndicate will hunt me until I am dead. I will be an outlaw in every system. Yes, Kim Dae-ho agreed. You will. I will lose everything I have worked for. Reputation, my contacts, my fortune, yes. I may die fighting an enemy I cannot defeat. Yes. Vexter was quiet for a long moment. Then he asked the question that had been bothering him since he first saw Kim Dae-ho. Why are you doing this? Your world is already dead. Your daughter is already gone. You could hide somewhere safe and live quietly. Why risk your life for strangers? Kim Dae-ho was quiet for a moment. When he spoke, his voice was soft but firm. Because So Young would want me to, he said. Because every child who dies in these invasions is somebody's So Young. Because if I don't try to stop it, who will? The human turned to face Vexter directly. And because it's right, he added. Sometimes that's the only reason you need. Vexter thought about his own childhood on Kalthra. The hunting lessons with Raximer. The sacred ceremonies in the temple caves. The pride in his people's ancient traditions. All of it would be ash in 6 months if the Zephyrians had their way. He thought about the resistance fighters in the images. Weak beings fighting impossible odds because they refused to give up. They reminded him of something his teacher had once said. A true hunter protects the pack, even if it means sacrificing the hunt. Maybe it was time to protect the pack. Vexter picked up his cum device and typed a new message to Mordok. Mission complications. Target has valuable intelligence about resistance operations. Interrogation will take additional time. Will report when extraction is complete. He sent the message and turned off the device again. That will buy us maybe 12 hours before they send someone to check on me, Vexter, said Kim Dae-ho smiled. Then we better make those 12 hours count. The hunter looked at his plasma blade, still humming with deadly energy. For 3 centuries it had been a tool of death. Maybe it was time for it to become something else. What do you need me to do? Vexter asked. Kim Dae-ho's smile grew wider. First we contact the resistance, then we plan a revolution. Felt something strange happening inside his chest. For the first time in his long life, he was choosing his own path instead of following orders. It was terrifying and exciting at the same time. One more thing, Kim Dae-ho said. I need you to. Promise me something. What? When this is over, when we've saved as many people as we can, I want you to remember that you chose to be more than just a killer. I want you to remember that you chose to be a protector. Vexter nodded slowly. I promise. The galaxy's greatest. Hunter had just become something much more dangerous than a killer. He had become a being with a cause worth dying for. Kim Dae-ho worked quickly at the computer, while Vexter watched. The human's fingers moved across the keyboard like he was playing music. In just a few minutes, he had opened secure communication channels to 12 different worlds. The Resistance? Leaders are spread across the galaxy, Kim Dae-ho explained. Most of them don't even know the others exist. The Zephyrians made sure to keep them separated. The first face appeared on the screen. A blue-skinned Voltarian female with silver markings on her forehead. She looked tired and worried. Kim Dae-ho, she said with relief in her voice. We thought you were dead. There are reports that the Syndicate sent their best hunter after you. They did, Kim Dae-ho replied. Commander Neri, I want you to meet Vexter. He was sent to kill me, but he chose to join us instead. The Voltarian Silver. Eyes went wide when she saw the massive Calthrian on the screen. Vexter could smell her fear even through the communication link. You brought the galaxy's most dangerous killer into our network? Neri asked, her voice shaking. The galaxy's most dangerous protector, Kim Dae-ho corrected. Show her, Vexter. Hunter held up a data chip. This contains the complete Syndicate database. Every hunter, every contract, every secret operation for the past 5 years. Neri stared at the chip like it was made of pure gold. That information could save thousands of lives. Millions, Vexter said, but only if we move quickly. More. Faces appeared on the screen as other resistance leaders joined the conversation. A red-scaled Nexian named Chang Min, who led fighters on the Outer Rim worlds. A tall, thin Andromedian called Yana So, who commanded refugee fleets. Others from species Vexter had never seen before. The Zephyrians are moving faster than we, thought Changmin reported. They hit the Kepler system yesterday. 3 billion people dead in 4 hours. Vexter felt sick. 3 billion lives ended while he had been hunting one human. If he had completed his mission, how many more would have died? We have a chance to strike back, Kim Dae-ho said. Vexter has access to Syndicate ships and codes. We can use their own network against them. What do you propose? Asked YEON-SEO, Kim. Dae-ho pulled up a star map showing the Zephyrian supply routes. They're moving massive amounts of equipment and troops for the next wave of invasions. If we can disrupt their supply lines, we can delay the attacks long enough to warn the target worlds. That's suicide, Changmin said. Those supply convoys are heavily guarded. Not if they think the attacks are coming from other Syndicate hunters, Vexter said. I can get us close. My ship has the right codes and transponders. The resistance leaders looked at each other uncertainly. Vexter could understand their doubt. An hour ago, he had been their greatest enemy. Now he was asking them to trust him with their lives. How do we know this isn't a trap? Neri asked. Kim Dae-ho spoke before Vexter could answer. Because I trust him. And because we don't have any other choice. That's not very reassuring, Changmin muttered. Look at the invasion timeline, Kim Dae-ho said, pulling up the Zephyrian battle plans. Kalthra is next, in 6 months. Then, the Voltarian systems. Then the Nexian colonies. If we don't act now, all of our worlds will be ash within 2 years. The silence stretched for a long moment. Finally, Yana Su spoke. What do you need from us? For the next 3 hours, they planned. Their first joint operation, Kim Dae-ho's technical knowledge. Combined with Vexter's inside information about Syndicate operations, created possibilities none of them had imagined before. The main supply depot is here, Vexter said, pointing to a space station near the Centauri system. It's where the Zephyrians store weapons and equipment for their next 3 invasions. How many guards? Changmin asked. 50 Syndicate hunters, plus a full Zephyrian battle group, Vexter replied. Under normal circumstances, it would be impossible to attack. But these aren't normal circumstances, Kim Dae-ho said with a smile, because we have someone who knows all their security codes. The plan was risky, but brilliant. Vexter would approach the depot in his ship, claiming to be delivering a high-value prisoner, Kim Dae-ho. Once they were inside the stations, defenses, resistance fighters hidden in other ships would attack from multiple directions. The key is timing, Kim Dae-ho explained. We hit them fast and hard before they can call for reinforcements. And if it goes wrong? Neri asked. Then we die fighting instead of hiding, Vexter said simply. The resistance leaders began organizing their forces. Ships were dispatched from 12 different worlds, all converging on the supply depot. For the first time in the war against the Zephyrians, the scattered resistance groups were working together. I have a question, Shaman said. Why should we trust Vexter? How do we know he won't betray us when the fighting starts? Kim Dae-ho looked at the Calthrian hunter. Tell them about So-young. Vexter was confused. Who is So-young? Daughter Kim Dae-ho said quietly. It's the one who died when Earth was destroyed. The hunter thought for a moment, then understood. You want to know if I have someone worth fighting for? Everyone needs a reason, Kim Dae-ho said. What's yours? Vexter was quiet for a long time. Then he began to speak, his deep voice filling the maintenance room. When I was young, I had a hunting partner named Kalen. He was my age, from my same clan. We trained together, hunted together, competed to see who could be the better killer. The resistance leaders listened carefully. They had never heard a Calthrian talk about personal relationships before. Kalen was always better than me, Vexter continued. Faster, stronger, smarter. He should have been the one chosen for the syndicate, but he made a mistake during our final test. What kind of mistake? Yanesio asked. He refused to kill a target, Vexter said. The target was a young Andromedian female who had stolen medicine for her sick brother. Kalen said she was not evil, just desperate. He let her go. The hunter's scales shifted to a darker color, a sign of sadness among his people. The test instructors killed Kalen for his failure. They said he was too weak to be a hunter. I was chosen instead. I'm sorry, Neri said softly. For 300 years I believed they were right, Vexter continued. I believed that mercy was weakness, that killing was strength. But now, I understand that Kalen was the stronger one. He looked directly at Kim Dae-ho, chose to protect instead of destroy. He chose compassion over duty, and he died for it. So you're fighting for Kalen? Changmin asked. I am fighting to become worthy of being his friend, Vexter replied. I am fighting to prove that his choice was the right one, the communication. Channel was quiet for a moment. Then Neri spoke. We'll follow your plan. But if you betray us, ... If I betray you, then Kalen died for nothing, Vexter said. And I would rather die myself than let that happen. Kim Dae-ho smiled and placed his small hand on one of Vexter's massive arms. Welcome to the Resistance. Over the next 8 hours, they put their plan into action. Vexter sent false reports to Mordok, claiming that Kim Dae-ho was cooperating and providing valuable intelligence. The lies bought them time to position their forces. 37 ships, Kim Dae-ho said, looking at the tactical display. It's not much against a Zephyrian battle group. It's more than we've ever had before, Neri replied. It's more than any of us thought possible. Vexter checked his weapons one last time. His plasma blade hummed softly, ready for battle. But this time, he would not be hunting prey. He would be protecting the innocent. Are you ready? Kim Dae-ho asked. The hunter looked at the human who had changed his life in just a few hours. Kim Dae-ho still looked like a simple engineer in his work clothes and crooked glasses. But Vexter now understood that appearances could be deceiving. This small, quiet human had done something no army had ever accomplished. He had turned the galaxy's greatest killer into its newest protector. I am ready, Vexter said. They walked toward Vexter's ship together. It's an unlikely partnership that was about to shake the foundations of the galaxy. Behind them, on the computer screen, dozens of resistance fighters prepared for battle. The first time since the Zephyrian invasions began, hope was spreading across the stars. The hunter and the engineer were about to become something the galaxy had never seen. Before a force that could stand against the darkness and win. 3 months later, Vexter stood on the bridge of the Resistance flagship watching something he had never thought possible. Hundreds of ships from 20 different worlds flew together in perfect formation. Humans, Voltarians, Nexians, Calthrians, and species he was still learning to identify worked side by side. The Zephyrian supply depot attack had been a complete success. They had destroyed enough weapons and equipment to delay 3 invasions. More importantly, they had proven that the Empire could be beaten. "Incoming transmission from Calthra," reported Lee Minho, a young human communications officer. "Defense grid is online and ready." Kim Dae-ho smiled from his position at the tactical station. Over the past 3 months, he had designed defense systems for 17 different worlds. His shields and weapons were based on Earth technology, but improved with alien engineering. The combinations were proving deadly to Zephyrian ships. "How long until they arrive?" Vexter asked. 2 hours, replied Commander Neri. The Voltarian had become the fleet's tactical coordinator. 67 heavy cruisers, just like the intelligence reports predicted. Vexter nodded. Invasion of Calthra was finally beginning. This time they would not find a defenseless world. They would find a trap. "All ships, this is Vexter," the hunter said into the fleet communications. His deep voice carried to every ship in the Resistance fleet. "Today we protect my homeworld. Tomorrow we protect yours. Fight well, and remember why we are here." Responses came back in dozens of different languages, but the meaning was always the same. They were ready to fight. Ready to die if necessary. Ready to prove that the Zephyrian Empire could be stopped. Kim Dae-ho walked over to stand beside Vexter. The human still wore his simple work clothes, though they were cleaner now. His crooked glasses had been replaced with new ones that fit properly, but his eyes still held the same determined look that had changed Vexter's life. "Nervous?" Kim Dae-ho asked. "No," Vexter replied. "For the first time in my life, I am exactly where I should be." The first Zephyrian ships appeared on the sensors. Massive black vessels designed for one purpose: destroying worlds. They moved in the same formation they had used to destroy Earth and 15 other planets. "They're not scanning for defensive systems," reported Yansio from the sensor station. "They're so confident they're not even checking for resistance." "Their mistake," Kim Dae-ho said quietly. "All ships, prepare for Operation Kalen." Vexter had named the battle plan after his childhood friend. It seemed fitting that Kalen's memory would help save the world that had rejected his compassion. Zephyrian fleet moved into orbit around Calthra, positioning themselves to begin the bombardment. Their ships spread out in the exact pattern the Resistance had predicted. Everything was going according to plan. "Defense grid activated," came a voice from the planet's surface. It was Roth-Tay, and a Calthrian engineer who had worked with Kim Dae-ho to build the new shield system. A dome of blue energy appeared around Calthra. The shield was stronger than anything the Zephyrians had ever faced. It was built with human technology, powered by Voltarian energy cells, and reinforced with Nexian metal alloys. The Zephyrian commander must have been shocked. The ships opened fire immediately, but their weapons could not penetrate the shield. The blue dome held firm against the bombardment. Phase 2, Kim Dae-ho announced. Hidden weapon platforms around Calthra came online. They had been disguised as mining stations and communication satellites. The Zephyrians had ignored them completely. Beams of concentrated energy struck the Zephyrian ships. The weapons were human-designed, but built with alien materials that made them 3 times more powerful than anything Earth had ever created. 12 enemy ships destroyed, reported Neri. "They're trying to retreat. Don't let them," Vexter ordered. Phase 3. The Resistance fleet dropped out of hyperspace behind the Zephyrian formation. Hundreds of ships attacked from all directions at once. It was the largest coordinated battle in galactic history. Vexter watched the battle from the bridge. But he was not just observing. He was coordinating the entire operation, using his knowledge of Zephyrian tactics to predict their moves. Every time the enemy tried to regroup, the Resistance was ready for them. Vexter came a voice on his personal comm channel. It was Mordok, his former handler. "I hear you," Vexter replied. "You betrayed us," Mordok said, his voice full of anger. "You betrayed everything you were trained for," No, Vexter said calmly. I finally became what I was meant to be. You were meant to be a killer. I was meant to be a protector, Vexter replied. I just forgot that for 300 years. The conversation was cut short as Mordok's ship exploded under fire from 3 resistance fighters. The hunter felt no satisfaction from his former handler's death. There had been enough killing. Enemy fleet breaking apart, reported Changmin. From his ship, they're surrendering. It was over. The Zephyrian invasion fleet was destroyed or captured. Kalthra was safe. The Empire's expansion had been stopped for the first time in their history. But more importantly, something new had been born. The scattered resistance groups had become a real alliance. 20 worlds working together, sharing technology and resources, protecting each other. Casualties? Kim Dae-ho asked. Surprisingly light, Neri reported. 17 ships lost, but most of the crews were rescued. Vexter thought about the billions of people who would live because of this victory. Children who would grow up safely. Families who would not be torn apart by orbital bombardment. Worlds that would continue to exist. What happens now? It's Lee Minho. Kim Dae-ho pulled up a star map showing the Zephyrian Empire. Now we liberate the galaxy, one world at a time. Over the following months, the alliance grew stronger. More worlds joined every week. Zephyrian commanders began surrendering rather than fighting battles they could not win. The empire that had seemed unstoppable was crumbling from within. Vexter found himself in a role he had never imagined. Teacher. Young beings from dozens of species came to learn from him. Not how to kill, but how to protect. How to use strength to defend the weak, instead of destroying them. Do you miss it? Kim Dae-ho asked one day, as they were standing in the garden dome of the Alliance's new headquarters station. Plants from many different worlds grew together in impossible combinations. Miss what? Vexter replied. The old life. The hunting. Being feared instead of respected. Vexter thought about it for a moment. I miss the simplicity, he said finally. Life was easier when all I had to do was follow orders and kill targets. But it was not life, Vexter continued. It was just existence. This is life. Having a purpose beyond myself. It's protecting instead of destroying. Building instead of tearing down. Kim Dae-ho nodded. Soyoung would have liked you, I think. I wish I could have met her. You did, in a way, Kim Dae-ho said. Every child we save, every family we protect, every world that survives because of what we do, that's Soyoung living on. They stood in comfortable silence, watching children from a dozen different species play together in the garden. These children would grow up in a galaxy where worlds were not destroyed on the whim of an empire, where beings could choose their own destiny instead of having it chosen for them. The council wants to meet with us, Kim Dae-ho said eventually. The same council that put a bounty on your head, the same one. They want to negotiate a peace treaty with the Zephyrians. Vexther's scales shifted to red. After everything the Empire has done, not surrender, Kim Dae-ho clarified. Justice. War crimes trials. Reparations for the destroyed worlds. A new galactic government that represents everyone, not just the powerful. It would be a long process. Rebuilding a galaxy was harder than conquering one. But Vexter had learned patience from Kim Dae-ho. Some things were worth waiting for. And us? Vexter asked. What happens to the Alliance? We become something better, Kim Dae-ho said. It's not just a military force, but a new way of thinking. Proof that different species can work together. That strength comes from unity, not domination. Vexter looked at his 4 hands. They were still scarred from his hunting days, but now they bore new marks from building things instead of destroying them. He had helped construct schools and hospitals instead of weapons and traps. You changed everything, Vexter said to Kim Dae-ho. We changed everything, the human corrected. You made the choice to be something better. I just showed you that the choice existed. That evening, Vexter visited the memorial wall in the station's central hub. Thousands of names were carved into the metal beings who had died fighting the Zephyrian Empire. Earth's billions were listed first, including one small name, Park So-Young. Next to her name was another, Kalen of Kalthra. The friend who had died for choosing mercy over duty. The friend whose memory had guided Vexter to his true purpose. Thank you, Vexter, whispered to both names. The galaxy's greatest killer had become its greatest protector. And in saving others, he had finally saved himself. The hunter had learned that the most important prey to catch was not a target to eliminate, but a purpose worth living for. Kim Dae-ho joined him at the memorial wall. Together they stood before the names of the fallen, carrying their memory forward into a new age. An age where compassion was stronger than cruelty, where unity was more powerful than conquest, and where even the most hardened killer could choose to become something greater. The galaxy would never be the same. That was exactly how it should be.